I just wanted to mount everything. It snowballed. What's up, motherfoxers? Here we go again, right? Actually, this was part of the plan. So I was going to get it all hooked up, make sure it works. And now we're going to mount all this stuff. So I did snowball a little bit. I was just going to, screw things down. But then I started to think about it, going, hey, if I need to remove things and I don't want to have to, let me show you and explain to you. Okay, so I got this piece of ABS. I bought this for my truck. I got that JBL Bass Pro. It's an 8-inch hideaway amp combo thing. Dude, those things are amazing. So if you guys, I think what Barbecue Mike, my buddy, said Barbecue 5.0, because he's ridden in my truck a few times, he's like, there's no reason why that sound is coming out of that speaker. So it's got a lot of bass for what it is. It's amazing. A thing that cost me $300, I think it's up to $250 now. So it's amazing. If you're looking for it's something I could put behind my back seat in my crew cab and just hide it, and the bass that comes out is amazing. Anyway, I bought this to mount it. I never did. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this down, mount this to this, and then I'm going to mount this to that. So if I need to take it out, I can do it easily. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to put some speed nuts in the board with just some 1/4 screws. That way all I have to do is unhook everything and then just quick bzz, 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 and pull it out. That way I don't have to keep, drilling wood screws in a piece of wood, and just, it eventually the holes are just going to wobble out if I got to pull it out. I don't see myself pulling this out a bunch of times. So and then I'm going to wire this up as a 2 ohm. I wasn't going to show any of this, but I figured, you know what, let me show you what I'm doing. So yeah, that was part of the whole plan, was to actually have to pull that out. And I was just going to initially mount this right to the board, but then I thought better of it and said, hey, you know what? Let's make it a little bit more removable and not such a mess. But to have permanent threads in there to do it is just way better. So I'll make it 1 inch bigger on each side, so I can put those screws right there. Boom. And then that way it's easily removable and easily to put back in. We're going to wire this to 2 ohm. I know that last video I was saying 1 ohm for some reason. I really don't know why. Somebody even said something to me about it. It's 2 ohm, guys. 2 ohm. It's going to get wired to 2 ohm. And I'll show you how I'm going to do that. I mean, you can look it up, but I can show you, I guess. But yeah, and I also got I don't know if I mentioned that already. I got the thing to mount on the back of this for this hole. It's a better thing. Anyway. So I did all that cutting for me to realize there's a couple things here, guys. Let me show you something here. This is didn't really pay attention to this when I was thinking about mounting it, but let me show you what's going on. So something I didn't notice with these at first is, look at this. This thing has its own spacers on the bottom of it. This is molded right into this housing. I didn't realize that, which is fine because you want airflow. I was actually going to find some spacers of my own and stick under there, but then when I flipped it over, you know what? It's got its own. And then the screws that came with it got these little rubber, almost, they look like washers, but I imagine they're spacers that you must put on the bottom, because why would you put, rubber washers on the head of a screw? So it must be just for, damper. This is the thing. See that? It's it's going to be flipped the other way and mounted, but this is yeah, that's not good. I don't like, it's flimsy. And besides that, you're not going to really get, you're going to get a couple of threads in that thing to hold it down. So Amazon. Here we go. This is 1/4 inch ABS. Yes, it's a lot more sturdy. One little thing, it's not as long. I couldn't get anything else here sooner because this is the next day. When I was trying to figure out a size that I could get here the next day, this is exactly 16, which is the length of this whole thing. Barely fits where the screws are going to go, so that's fine. I'm not worried about that. I need to mount it to the board. And when I thought about it, I was like, well, I could just make it wider this way instead of longer this way. And then I can just mount it right to the board with screws on this side instead of the ends. Kind of centers the mounting area a little better than it would up the other way, I think, anyway. So I think what I'll just do, I won't even cut this. I'm just going to leave it the same size. This is 12 inches this way. This thing's 8 3/4. I'm just going to leave it like that and then just mount it right to the board over there. And with those speed nuts that I got, that way, like I said, if I ever need to take it out and do anything, I can easily just buzz those out, and I'm not like destroying the wood. That's actually plywood. It's not like particle board, because I could only get it with 3 sheets. That's cool, because now since I cut that up and I think it's flimsy, I got another piece to actually do the little hideaway amp in my truck whenever that'll be. I don't know. I don't get around to things like I should. I guess I was in the middle of cutting that and then flipped it over and put it on there, and I'm like, uh-oh, I don't like how flimsy this is. So okay, so there's the holes. This is exactly 16. And those are small holes, by the way. Those are smaller, obviously, than the screw hole. So I don't know if I'm going to blow the sides out on these if I put them out, which begs the question of, why are the holes here? Why are they not here? That's a mystery. Yeah, mystery wrapped in an enigma. Freaking China, man. Of course, you know, this is where the spacer is in that housing, but it doesn't matter. But that is a dumb place for those. I thought it was in the first place. Let's see if we'll blow them out the sides. I don't know. I got one in, guys. It's not blowing out here, so... all the way in, didn't blow out the side. Cool. All right, I'm gonna have to cut the screws off the bottom, obviously, because they're a little too long. Looks like it's gonna work here. So all right, folks, there we go. I had to actually pull a couple of those 2 screws back out and put that little dampener in there, which I think actually was a good idea, because look how high that is up on there, and that's a good thing. Let the air flow. Yeah, I'm going to have to chop these off here. Of course, I had to finish on the other side. I had to finish it off with a screwdriver. What a dumb place to put those holes, I swear. Because these things were just in the way of my my screw gun thing here. Okay, you ready for this? Pretty sure this is overkill. But it'll do the job. Alright, already done stuck this in the truck. Make sure I had enough room here. This will be real interesting, putting this in and getting it in and out of there. Just because I can't see these screws, because they're going to be up against the back seat. The screws that I got 1/4 20, and the heads I got are pretty big, guys. So it's going to be a big target to hit back there with a screw gun or something. So I think we'll be all right. And here are these things that I was showing you about, these little speed nuts. These aren't going here. They're going to be in the board. These ones you just pound in there. A little funny thing about these things, I'll tell you a story. So my other car, everything's Rockford Fosgate punch. I have a 12-inch punch dual coil speaker in there, right? It's in a box. I got my power block back there, and I decided to use these to attach it to the box. So you basically drill a hole that this fits in. That's what we'll do on here. When I went to do some service work on the back in the back there, trying to figure out what was up with that amp, the power block was not attached to the box anymore. The screws were still screwed into this. These came out of the box, and I was sitting there trying to figure out, how the hell did that happen? Well, when you drill a hole in a speaker box, even if it's little, it's a port. That thing moves so much air, it blew these things right out of the board. It just blew these things right out with the screws and everything, man. And I was like, what in the hell happened? And that's when I started putting two to two together. I'm like, you drilled a hole in a speaker box with a speaker that moves a lot of air, you moron. I rectified that by just screwing the power block to the box with just wood screws instead of these. It just, I was like, hell yeah, man. Go Rockford Fosgate. Just blew those right out of the wood. So I got extra little ports in the back of that speaker box. So that won't be the case with this because it's not in a box. So anyway, let me, I think what I'll do here is just keep it simplified. And we'll go like 3 inches in on each side. I think I might have drilled it in that hole on that table. Yeah, sort of drilled it in the table. I got something for this. It was given to me as a gift, and I didn't know what I was going to use it for until just this moment. I'll be right back. Huh? Remember Dustbusters? Alright, we'll pound those in and we'll get the other ones going. Well guys, I don't know about you, but that's what I call satisfying. Oh, that's just fantastic. 4 perfectly placed holes. That just screws this in nice and easy. Alright, what I've decided to do was stick the sub over here, the tube on this side. That way if I need to put anything in the trunk, you know, I can stick it this way, because having this over on this side would cause a problem. I'd have the amp there if I needed to stick a chair or something. Or groceries, you know. It's going to be a daily, so should be a grocery getter. I want to have some space over here, so we're going to stick it on this side. Here's these straps that I got. I finally took these out of the bag, and I'm kind of pleasantly surprised about these things. These are metal. These are friggin' metal. Usually when you get stuff like this, they're just cheap plastic. So those are metal. You heard that, huh? And here's the little anchors. I just gotta zip them on there, and then that'll be done. But first I gotta go ahead and get this little thing put in here. Alright, I don't mean to break your brains or anything here. So dual coil. So I had this hooked up as a 4 ohm from the positive to the negative, and then positive to the negative to the amp. So now what do I got here is a 2 ohm. So you go positive on one side to the negative. I'm sorry. You go negative to negative and then negative out, and then positive to positive and positive out to the amp. You got that? So there you go. If you're wondering what I'm doing here, this is what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. I just brought this out to show you what I'm doing. That's how I had it hooked up. That's what it's hooked up to now. And like I said, that one of those videos I said 2 ohm, or I said 1 ohm. I meant 2 ohm. So, all right, there you go. Got this all hooked up. I think the best way for this, since it's going to be pointing this way in the car, like this, and the wire's got to come in this way, I think it's best if we just place it in there like that. I think that'll be good. I'll screw her down. Alright, there we go. So that is better than this stupid thing. That was just pushed in there At least we got some screws. I hope those screws hold. Those aren't the screws that came with it. I misplaced those ones. So these ones are shorter, but they fit inside there. Found them. There they are. That's what I was sticking in there. See why I didn't trust them? This little bitty guy. Alright, there's what I'm thinking. I'm gonna have to come underneath this because I tried to just loop it around over the top and it just didn't have enough room with the strap, so yeah, I'm gonna have to go underneath it to have enough room for it. I was initially thinking I'd have to put these out here, but looks like I'm gonna have to go pretty close to the enclosure here, but not a big deal. You know, I was just gonna throw a powered bass cannon in the trunk and call it good, but here we are. So, just a snowball of a thing. The deed is done. You know, I tell you what, man. I was sitting here driving myself crazy. If you look at this thing, just see that? They may look off, and it was driving me crazy. I was backing up this way, looking down, trying to line them up after I did those two. And I'm just like, no matter what I did, it didn't look like they were lining up. So I know this side's straight. I know this side is straight. So I just measured all these from these 2 points, and they're right on. I don't know, it's just like an optical illusion, I think. So, alright, I can pull this tape off here, get this vacuumed up, undo that amp, put this back in there, hook it all back up. I got those speakers I gotta hook up yet, so yeah, you don't need to see me do all that. Okay, there they are. Aren't they cute? Look at those cute little guys. Those are little stock Ford speakers. This one's seen better days. I don't even think these things worked because I think I hooked them up. Everything in these cars is like 8mm, 10mm, 7mm. Not these speakers. They got these weird little nuts. They're 9mm. So that was interesting. But these little guys are getting replaced with these guys. See that? Some nice kickers. These things got some weight to them, man. These things don't. So, these things are light as hell. And, of course, they got these weird little connectors. Don't chop the wiring harness. We got the right equipment, okay? Buy these online. They're like $6 for a set. That way you can plug these into the wiring harness of the car, and then these go on the speaker. Simple as that. Quit cutting wiring harnesses, you a-holes. Holy crap. Girder in. Alright guys, there you go. These straps are going to do the job. Looks like there was a lot left over here, so instead of bringing them through this way, I brought them in and down, so they're underneath here. The excess, they go right up about here, so there's plenty of strap on there. This ain't going anywhere. It's pretty secure. Obviously the amp is secured with those 4 screws and those speed nuts. Yeah, if you heard that 3 seconds I played of the, of course, Got the Life. Like I said, it's a good way to test your system. It's just got some good bass in it. If you're into rock, you know. I mean, I think I got Cruising in Your 5.0 on there. I actually played that. It was taking these kickers and it was just buzzing them. I can't figure out why those are buzzing. They don't need to be doing that. I don't play music like that. I just had it on there because I thought it was funny. This making this from a 4 ohm to a 2 ohm, freaking game changer, man. $60 for that. I think I'm gonna make another video talking about this. It was ridiculous what was happening here, and I just can't play it on the channel. But there we go. Everything's strapped in, all good to go. Now we can start getting the rest of the interior put into play here. This will be next. But I got the speaker cover on that one. I can't do anything with this one yet, guys, because I'm in the middle of this whole GPS thing for the Ace's dash. Stay tuned for a video with that. But of course, this is for this GPS here. But that's going to be it for this one. Didn't expect to make a video about mounting all this stuff, but there's a little more involved, and I thought I'd share it with you. So later, guys.